Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today we continue with the next story in the 1001 Nights series titled Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. Epic Arabic legend, full story, 1001 Nights series. Here is the detailed content. Chapter 1. The Brothers of Baghdad. In the heart of ancient Persia, under the shimmering sun that gilded the city of Baghdad, two brothers lived upon the same bloodline but not the same fortune. Qasim, the elder, had married into wealth, his wife being the daughter of a prosperous merchant. His house rose tall and proud above the market, with tiled courtyards, silken curtains, and fountains that sang softly through the day. Ali Baba, the younger, had not been so fortunate. He lived a humble life as a woodcutter, his small hut resting on the edge of the city, where the desert winds kissed the date palms. His hands were calloused, his tunic plain, yet his heart was kind, and his eyes still held the spark of hope that the sands of hardship could not bury. Each morning, Ali Baba rose before dawn, taking his 3 donkeys and his axe to the forested hills beyond the city. The rustle of palm leaves and the scent of cedar accompanied him as he chopped wood, binding the logs for the long walk back to Baghdad's market. Though his earnings were meager, he shared them with his wife, and together they thanked Allah for what little they had. One fateful morning, while Ali Baba was deep in the forest, the distant sound of galloping hooves broke the stillness. He climbed quickly up a nearby tree, fearful of robbers who haunted the trade roads. From his perch, he saw a cloud of dust rise between the rocks. 40 horsemen, their faces veiled, their scimitars gleaming under the noonday sun. They rode with the precision of soldiers, but the heavy sacks slung across their saddles told another story, a story of theft, of gold, of plunder. Ali Baba's breath caught as he watched them approach a large, flat rock hidden between cliffs. Their leader, a tall man wearing a crimson cloak and a black turban embroidered with silver, raised his hand. The others halted. Then, in a voice deep as thunder, the leader cried, "Open, Sesame!" At once, the stone split in two with a rumbling sound, revealing a dark cavern mouth. The 40 thieves dismounted and entered, each carrying his burden of loot. After some time, they returned empty-handed. Their leader then shouted, "Close, Sesame!" and the stone sealed itself again, leaving no trace of the secret door. When the thieves rode off, the desert silence returned. Ali Baba's heart pounded with awe and disbelief. Could it be a treasure cave guarded by magic words? He waited until the last hoofbeat vanished beyond the dunes, then climbed down, trembling with curiosity. He approached the rock and whispered the words that still echoed in his mind. "Open, Sesame!" The stone groaned, split open once more, and Ali Baba entered. Inside lay a mountain of treasures, gold coins, silver plate, bolts of silk, and chests of jewels glowing in the torchlight like captured stars. It was wealth beyond comprehension, the spoils of countless raids. For a moment, Ali Baba stood still, his eyes wide and his heart conflicted. But poverty is a cruel master. He filled his donkey bags with as much gold as they could bear and left, repeating softly, "Close, Sesame!" outside. The stone sealed behind him. Ali Baba guided his donkeys home under the cloak of night, his mind aflame with wonder and fear. His wife gasped when she saw the glittering coins, but he silenced her quickly. "We must be cautious. Not even Qasim must know." Yet greed, like a serpent, never sleeps long. The next day, Ali Baba borrowed a small measure from Qasim's wife to weigh the gold, and curiosity stirred within her. She smeared wax upon the scale, and when it was returned, a single gold coin clung to it, proof that Ali Baba had found a secret fortune. When Qasim learned of it, envy took root in his heart. His eyes burned like desert fire. I must know where he found this wealth, he said to himself. Why should my brother, a poor woodcutter, live like a prince? Thus began the fateful rivalry that would set the tale of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves into motion. A tale of greed and cunning, of blood and fortune, where even the humblest man might defy fate with the courage of his heart. Chapter 2, Qasim's Greed and the Words of Doom. Qasim could not sleep that night. The thought of gold glimmered behind his eyelids like desert fire. Every breath he drew was heavy with envy, every heartbeat a whisper of greed. How could Ali Baba, the poor woodcutter he had pitied all his life, possess such wealth? What secret had fortune revealed to him alone? At dawn, Qasim rose from his silken bed and strode to Ali Baba's humble home. His fine robes brushed the dust of the street as he entered without greeting. "Brother," he began, his tone sweet but sharp beneath, "you've grown prosperous of late. Tell me, how came you by your riches? I am your blood, and surely no secret should lie between us." Ali Baba hesitated. He remembered the shining coins, the echo of the stone that spoke, and the words of magic that only he had heard. But Qasim's gaze was relentless. To refuse him outright would sow suspicion and discord. So, with a sigh, Ali Baba spoke quietly, as if afraid that even the walls might hear. "Brother, I discovered a secret in the forest, a cave of thieves, guarded by magic words. I took only enough to ease our hunger. Swear by Allah, you will not misuse this knowledge." Qasim's lips curved into a smile that hid his hunger. He swore Liand before the sun had climbed high. He gathered 10 mules, each with empty saddlebags. His wife loaded them with fine cloths to hide what they would carry back. Then, without another word to Ali Baba, Qasim rode toward the forest, his heart blazing with greed. He found the great rock as described, waited until the wind fell still, and then cried out, "Open, sesame." The stone split apart like a living thing, and Qasim entered. The treasure within glittered brighter than his wildest dreams. He ran his hands through heaps of coins, jewels, and silks, laughing aloud like a man possessed. "Now I am richer than the Caliph himself," he shouted. He filled his bags, his pockets, even the folds of his robes, so consumed by wealth that he forgot the world outside. But when at last he turned to leave, the stone loomed before him like a silent sentinel. His mind stumbled. What were the words again? He frowned. "Open, barley, nothing. Open, wheat, still nothing." Panic swelled within him. He beat upon the stone, shouting, pleading, cursing, but the desert wind swallowed every sound. The cave remained shut. His gold slipped from his trembling hands as terror gripped his soul. Hours passed, his voice cracked from screaming. The air grew cold as twilight fell, and then he heard hooves. The 40 Thieves had returned. Their leader dismounted first, his crimson cloak fluttering like blood in the dying light. When they entered the cave and saw Qasim trembling beside their treasure, the leader's eyes narrowed like the edge of a blade. "Who are you, stranger, that dares steal from the 40? Qasim fell to his knees. "Mercy, great Lord, I came only once, but mercy was not in the hearts of men who lived by the sword." The leader gave a cold smile and drew his scimitar. "You have spoken the words of magic without honor. Let your tongue be silenced forever." That night, the forest heard screams that faded into nothing. When the thieves departed, leaving only shadows behind, the cave sealed once more. Qasim's mules wandered aimlessly near the cliffs until they returned without their master to the streets of Baghdad. Ali Baba, alarmed by his brother's absence, took his servant Morgiana and a faithful donkey to search for him. As the moon rose, they found the stone and whispered the words, "Open, Sesame." The cave opened and what they found inside froze Ali Baba's heart. Qasim lay lifeless among the treasure, his eyes wide and empty, his hands still clutching gold that could no longer serve him. Ali Baba wept. Though his brother had wronged him, blood ties run deeper than gold. He covered Qasim's body with his cloak and whispered, "May Allah forgive you." Morgiana, clever and quick-witted, spoke softly, "Master, we must bring him home without arousing suspicion. The thieves will return, and if they know you have seen this place, death will follow us too." Ali Baba nodded gravely. Under the cover of night, they carried Qasim's body to Baghdad, wrapped in sackcloth. Morgiana bribed a poor tailor named Mustafa with gold to sew the body discreetly, pretending it was an act of charity for the dead. The next day, Qasim was buried in silence. But even graves cannot bury greed forever. The thieves, returning to their cave and finding Qasim's corpse missing, knew that another had learned their secret. The leader's voice thundered through the darkness. "Someone has dared defy us. We will find him, and the sands will drink his blood." Thus began the Hunt the 40 against one man and his loyal servant. Ali Baba had gained a treasure, but in its shadow waited vengeance. Chapter 3: Morgiana's Wisdom and the Thieves' Revenge. The dawn over Baghdad rose crimson that morning, a hue that seemed to whisper of blood. In the humble courtyard of Ali Baba's home, silence lingered, heavy in the air. The gold that glittered beneath the floorboards could not lighten the weight upon their hearts. Qasim was dead, and though his death had been hidden from the world, danger had not. Ali Baba sat beneath the fig tree, his hands clasped in thought. Beside him stood Morgiana, the slave girl he had freed after the burial. Though born into servitude, her spirit was keen and bright, her eyes sharp as a falcon's. In her presence was a quiet intelligence, the kind that saw patterns where others saw dust. "Master," she said softly, "the thieves will not rest until they find the one who took your brother's body. We must prepare." Ali Baba nodded. "You are right, but how can we fight 40 men who move like shadows and kill without mercy?" Morgiana's gaze turned toward the city gates. "We will not fight them with swords, Master. We will fight them with wit." The 40 thieves gathered in their hidden cave. The leader stood before them, his crimson cloak darkened with dust. The torches burned low, and the treasure around them gleamed like watchful eyes. "Brothers," he thundered, "someone has learned the words. Someone has seen our gold. We have lost one secret. We will not lose another." A murmur spread through the ranks. The leader raised his hand for silence. "One among the dead merchants of Baghdad must have taken the body of the fool we slew. We will go into the city. We will mark every house that might be his, and when night falls, we shall strike." That very night, the leader donned the robes of a trader and rode into Baghdad. His eyes scanned every street until he reached the quarter where the poor lived close together. By chance or by fate, he saw the tailor Mustafa, the same man Morgiana had bribed to sew Qasim's shrouds. The thief dismounted and called out, "Peace be upon you, old one." I seek the house of a man who had his brother's body stitched secretly not long ago. Can you lead me there?" Mustafa hesitated. Gold flashed in the stranger's hand, and hesitation turned to greed. "Follow me, merchant," he said. "I know the house you seek." Blindfolded so he could not retrace his steps, Mustafa was led away once he'd fulfilled his task. The leader, however, carried a piece of white chalk. Quietly, he marked Ali Baba's door with an X and left. But Morgiana, ever watchful, saw the faint mark when she returned from the market at dusk. Her instincts, honed by fear and cunning, told her the truth. It was no accident. Without a word, she fetched a piece of chalk and marked every other door on the street with the same X. When the leader returned that night with his men, he pointed. "There, that is the house." But when he saw that every door bore the same sign, his fury flared. "The one who lives there is clever. Tomorrow, I will mark it differently." And so, the next day, he returned again, marking Ali Baba's door with a small smear of red paint. But Morgiana's eyes missed nothing. She took a pot of red dye and smeared every door in the street just the same. Once more, the thieves were confounded. The leader clenched his fists. "This is no ordinary foe," he snarled. "We will find another way. Prepare 40 oil jars. We go to the city again, but this time not as merchants, but as shadows." That night, as Baghdad slept beneath a sea of stars, 40 men entered its gates, each hidden within a great jar strapped upon a camel's back. Only one jar held oil. The rest concealed men with daggers and hearts of stone. The leader himself, disguised as a trader, led the caravan to Ali Baba's door. "Peace be upon you, good sir," he said humbly. "I am a merchant who has traveled far. The night is cold, and my camels weary. Might I rest in your courtyard till dawn?" Ali Baba, generous by nature, agreed without hesitation. "Of course, friend. You are welcome under my roof." The jars were placed along the courtyard walls, and the leader went inside to dine with Ali Baba, speaking of trade and travel. But Morgiana, busy with her chores, noticed something odd. The jars were sealed tight, yet a whisper seemed to come from within them. She crept close and listened. "Shall we strike now, Captain?" hissed a voice from inside one jar. Her blood ran cold. She understood at once. The merchant was no merchant. Ali Baba's life hung by a thread. Moving swiftly, she filled a cauldron with oil and set it upon the fire until it boiled like molten gold. Then, one by one, she poured the burning oil into 13 jars, and silence fell where there had been whispers. When she came to the last jar, she left it untouched. It held only real oil. Then she returned to her chamber and waited. Later, when the false merchant left the table to check on his men, the scent of burned flesh met his nose. His eyes widened with horror. Morgiana was waiting for him, blade in hand. "For Qasim," she whispered, and with one swift stroke, the leader of the 40 fell. When Ali Baba found her standing amid the shadows, trembling but victorious, he understood what she had done. He bowed his head and said, "Morgiana, you have saved my life. You are free, and more than that, you are family." She wept, for in that moment, she had found not just freedom, but a home. Chapter 4. The Return of the New Chief. The sun rose pale over the city of Baghdad, casting long golden fingers through the haze of dawn. In the courtyard of Ali Baba's home, silence reigned. The scent of smoke from the extinguished torches hung in the air, mingled with the faint, acrid trace of boiled oil. Morgiana stood beneath the fig tree, her eyes shadowed by what she had done. She had saved her master's life, but at the cost of 39 souls. Ali Baba approached her quietly. His robe was simple, yet his face bore the calm gravity of one who had witnessed both fortune and death. "You have done what none other could, Morgiana," he said softly. "Your courage has saved us all." She bowed her head, tears glistening like morning dew. "I did what I must, Master. But evil rarely dies with its body. There will be one left, one who escapes." Her words proved true. Far from Baghdad, in the barren stretch of desert, where the dunes whisper secrets to the wind, a single rider fled beneath the crescent moon. His cloak was torn, his eyes wild with fury. He was the youngest of the 40, a cunning man named Jamil, who had left the cave earlier that night to scout for supplies. When he returned and found his brethren slain, his grief curdled into rage. Kneeling beside the corpses, he vowed aloud, "By the bones of my brothers, I will not rest until Ali Baba's house burns, and his name is erased from the earth." He buried the dead beneath the sand and returned to the cave. From among the treasures, he took gold enough to purchase a new life, not as a thief, but as a merchant. His plan was born in vengeance and wrapped in patience. Weeks later, Baghdad buzzed with the arrival of a rich trader from Damascus. He was young, handsome, and carried himself with the air of nobility. His name, he said, was Kazim. None knew that behind the polished smile lay the heart of a murderer, Jamil reborn. He rented a grand house near the market, distributed alms to the poor, and entertained the wealthy. Before long, his name reached even the ears of Ali Baba, who had returned to his peaceful life, believing the danger gone. One evening, Kazim invited Ali Baba to a feast in his honor. "You have been a friend to the poor," he said smoothly, "and I, too, seek virtue and companionship in this city. Let us dine together as brothers." Ali Baba, unsuspecting, agreed. He arrived with Morgiana, who had insisted on accompanying him. Her intuition, sharp as the edge of a Damascus blade, warned her that peace had come to Italy. The feast was splendid, carpets woven from Persian silk, golden lamps hanging like captured suns, and a table heavy with roasted lamb, pomegranates, and dates dripping with honey. Kazim greeted them warmly, yet his eyes lingered too long, his smile too still. During the meal, he poured wine for his guests himself. "To friendship," he said. Morgiana accepted the cup but only raised it to her lips. Her gaze darted to the reflection of the room in the bronze plate before her. She saw the faintest flicker, Kazim's hand trembling as he set down a small vial beside the pitcher. Her heart turned cold. Poison, she realized. Feigning delight, she set her cup aside and clapped her hands for music. Dancers entered the room, their veils swirling like flames, and the air filled with rhythm and song. In the distraction, Morgiana leaned close to her master. "Drink not, my lord. Our host is false." Ali Baba's eyes widened, but he trusted her. He pretended to sip, then set his cup aside as well. When the music ended, Kazim smiled again. "Come, my friends, let me show you my garden. It glows at night, like the heavens themselves." They followed him into the courtyard, where lanterns hung among pomegranate trees. The scent of jasmine floated on the wind. Yet Morgiana saw more than beauty. She saw footprints in the sand, too heavy, too many for a simple merchant's home. She knew then the man before them had not come alone. As Kazim turned to pour more wine beneath the starlight, she slipped behind a pillar and listened. Faint whispers carried from the shadows beyond the wall. Men waiting, armed. "When I give the signal, Kazim hissed, "Strike. Leave none alive." Morgiana moved quickly. From the brazier near the garden steps, she seized a burning torch and flung it into a nearby canopy of silk. Flames erupted, devouring the garden in a roar. Chaos followed, shouts, curses, the ring of blades. Ali Baba, realizing the trap, drew his knife and fought beside her. Morgiana's torch became a weapon, her movements swift and fierce as she drove back one man after another. The blaze illuminated Kazim's face, the same cruel eyes that once led the 40. "You," Ali Baba gasped. "You are one of them," Kazim sneered. "The last and the end of you." He lunged forward, his curved sword gleaming like moonlight on water. Their blades met with a shriek of metal. Ali Baba staggered, but Morgiana, quicker than thought, hurled her dagger straight into Kazim's chest. It struck true. He fell among the burning silk, his last breath carried away by the desert wind. When dawn came, Baghdad awoke to rumors of a fire and a dead merchant. No one knew his name or the vengeance he carried. Ali Baba returned home in silence, weary but alive. He turned to Morgiana and said, "Your courage and wisdom have ended this curse forever. I owe you more than gold can pay." Morgiana bowed. "Then grant me this, to live in peace by your side, not as a servant, but as one who has chosen her place." Ali Baba smiled. "So it shall be." Chapter 5. The Hidden Gold and the Secret of the Cave. The sands of the desert whispered of silence and forgotten oaths. After the death of Kazim, the last of the 40 peace seemed to settle once more upon Baghdad. Yet for Ali Baba, the shadow of the cave still lingered in his dreams. He would wake at night to the echo of a voice murmuring through the dark, "Open sesame." He had promised himself never to return. But fate, like the desert wind, does not rest. One morning, as Ali Baba tended his olive grove, a group of poor laborers came to him. "Master," said their leader, "we have found something strange in the foothills east of the valley, a hollow in the rock, sealed by sand, where the wind hums like a voice." Ali Baba's heart stopped. He knew that place. He dismissed the men with coin and walked alone toward the mountain, his steps heavy with memory. The desert greeted him with the same endless expanse of gold and silence. When he reached the cliff face, he saw it again, the scar of the great rock, untouched since that fateful day. The words came unbidden to his lips. "Open sesame." The earth trembled slightly, and the rock split apart with a sigh, as though the mountain itself still remembered him. Inside lay the treasure of the 40 thieves, still untouched, glittering in the dim light like frozen suns. Gold, rubies, emeralds, carpets of Persia, jars of rare oils, and weapons inlaid with silver filled the cavern from wall to wall. Ali Baba stood in silence. What once had seemed like a dream of wealth now felt like the burden of death. He thought of Kazim, his brother, slain by greed, and of Morgiana, whose courage had saved him from the same fate. He knelt and whispered, "O God, who gives and takes, what is this treasure worth if it breeds only ruin?" Yet even as he spoke, he felt another presence in the cave, not of man or spirit, but of memory itself. The shadows on the walls seemed to shift, forming shapes of the dead thieves, their eyes hollow, their blades drawn. Ali Baba did not flee. He stood firm, facing them. "You are gone," he said, "but your gold shall not curse another soul." He took only one chest, small, plain, and unmarked, to bring home. Then, turning his back on the glittering mountain, he spoke again the words, "Close, sesame." The rock sealed itself once more, and with it, the ghosts of greed. When he returned home, Morgiana met him at the gate. She saw the dust on his cloak and the sorrow in his eyes. "You went back," she said quietly. "Yes," he replied, "and I brought this, not for riches, but for remembrance." They opened the chest together. Inside were no jewels, no coins, only a bundle wrapped in silk. Within it lay a scroll, old and dry as the desert wind. Upon it was written in faded Arabic calligraphy, "The true treasure of men is not in gold, but in wisdom. He who knows when enough is enough shall live in peace." Ali Baba was silent for a long time. Then he smiled faintly. So this was their secret, not fortune, but folly. From that day forward, Ali Baba and Morgiana shared their wealth with the poor. They repaired wells, built shelters for widows, and opened a school for children in the city. The name Ali Baba became one of honor, not greed. But the cave, though sealed, was not forgotten. Once each year, Ali Baba returned to its place, not to seek, but to give. He would bring food, oil, and gifts for travelers who passed through the desert, leaving them by the rock. He never again spoke the words that opened the gate, though sometimes, on nights when the wind howled and the stars burned cold, he thought he heard a faint whisper in the distance, "Open, Sesame." Perhaps it was the desert's way of remembering. Chapter V. Summary. Ali Baba returns to the cave for the final time, confronts the legacy of greed, and finds wisdom instead of gold. The cave becomes a symbol of both temptation and enlightenment. Chapter 6. The Wedding of Morgiana. The city of Baghdad awoke beneath the golden sun, its domes shining like molten bronze, and its streets alive with the hum of merchants and prayer. Yet, in the humble house of Ali Baba, joy had returned, not through wealth, but through the quiet laughter of Morgiana, the woman who had once been a slave and now stood as the savior of the house. It had been many moons since the death of the 40 Thieves, and peace had blessed their home. Ali Baba, now older and wiser, had found in generosity a treasure greater than gold. Morgiana, ever faithful and cunning, watched over his household with grace and diligence. Her name had spread throughout the city, the woman who outwitted assassins and saved her master with courage and wit. One morning, as Ali Baba prepared to attend the market, a nobleman's servant approached the gate bearing a letter sealed in wax. It was from Harun al-Rashid, the Caliph himself. The letter read, "To Ali Baba, the honest merchant of the olive grove, and to Morgiana, the protector of his house. The Caliph has heard of your deeds. Let your courage be known to the court, and your wisdom shared with the people. You are summoned to the Palace of Light at the next crescent moon." Ali Baba was astonished. He turned to Morgiana, who bowed her head humbly. "I am but a servant, master," she said. "No," Ali Baba replied gently. "You are the heart that saved us all." When the appointed day came, they journeyed together to the palace. The gates rose high as mountains, gilded with lapis and pearl. Inside, the Caliph sat upon his throne of ivory, his eyes deep and knowing. "Step forward, Morgiana," he said, his voice echoing through the hall. "I have heard of your wisdom and your bravery. Few women or men could do what you have done." Morgiana knelt, but the Caliph gestured for her to rise. "The 40 Thieves are gone, yet you remain a light against their darkness. Such loyalty must not go unrewarded." At his signal, a man stepped forth, a young captain of the guard, tall and strong, with eyes like dark honey. His name was Nasir ibn Khalid, known for both his courage and honor. "Nasir," said the Caliph, "this woman has earned the blessings of our house. If her heart is free, I command that she be offered a union of respect and equality." The hall murmured with approval. Morgiana looked up, startled. Nasir bowed deeply before her. "Lady Morgiana," he said softly, "though the Caliph commands it, I would not seek your hand unless your heart willed it to." Her heart trembled, not with fear, but with the memory of all she had endured: deceit, servitude, blood, and redemption. Slowly, she met his gaze and said, "I have lived long in shadows, Captain Nasir. But if this union is to bring light, then let it be so." The Caliph smiled. "Then so shall it be written." The wedding of Morgiana and Nasir was unlike any other in Baghdad. It was not grand with jewels or feasts, but radiant in spirit. The streets filled with music and flowers, and the people spoke of the slave who became a heroine, and of the master who freed her, not with gold, but with trust. Ali Baba watched from afar, tears glistening in his eyes. "You were born to command your own fate," he whispered. "May the desert guard your path, and the stars guide your joy." That night, as the moon hung like a silver coin in the sky, Morgiana stood beside her new husband on the terrace. The wind carried the scent of jasmine and the distant call of a nightingale. "Do you ever wonder," Nasir asked, "what became of the cave?" "No," she answered. "The cave belongs to the past, but its lesson that greed devours its own remains forever." He smiled. "Then may our home never need a password but love below." The lamps of Baghdad flickered like stars fallen to earth. Morgiana closed her eyes, and for the first time since her days of fear, she felt peace. Chapter VI Summary. Morgiana is summoned to the Caliph's court, where her heroism is honored. She is offered marriage to Captain Nasir ibn Khalid, beginning a new life of dignity and love. Chapter 7. The Whispering Sands. The heat of the Baghdad sun pressed down upon the city. Yet a strange chill lingered in the air, as if the desert itself whispered warnings to those who would listen. Ali Baba, now older and wiser, had returned to the rhythm of his life, tending olives, distributing aid to the poor, and enjoying the quiet company of Morgiana and her husband, Nasir. The city hummed with prosperity, yet the calm was a fragile veneer over the shifting sands of destiny. One afternoon, as Ali Baba walked along the city's edge, a caravan of merchants approached. Their camels staggered under the weight of strange goods, and the air carried scents of spices unfamiliar to Baghdad. Among the merchants was a man whose eyes gleamed with cunning. His smile hinted at secrets better left unspoken. "Greetings, noble merchant," the stranger said, bowing. "We have traveled far and bring tales and treasures from lands beyond the desert." Ali Baba nodded politely. But Morgiana, ever vigilant, narrowed her eyes. There was something about this man, a subtle recklessness in his step, a calculated charm in his voice. She whispered to Ali Baba as they returned home, "Master, do not trust too easily. The desert holds many whispers, and not all speak truth." That night, the desert wind rose and carried with it an eerie murmur. Ali Baba could hear it, even within the safety of his home. "The treasure awaits. The treasure waits." The words were faint, almost imagined, but the echo lingered long after the wind had ceased. He shared his unease with Morgiana. "Could it be the cave?" he asked, shivering. "Perhaps," she replied, "or perhaps it is a new danger, one that has heard of our past and seeks to claim what the 40 once guarded." Indeed, far from Baghdad, In a hidden oasis along the desert's edge, a new band of thieves had gathered. Unlike the 40, they were smaller in number but equally clever. They had learned of the legends, of the magic words, the treasure of the cave, and the death of Kazim. Their leader, a shadowy man named Farid, vowed to outwit Ali Baba and claim the gold for himself. "The cave will yield to us," Farid whispered, "and no one, not even the cunning slave girl, will stop us." As the days passed, rumors reached the streets of Baghdad. Travelers spoke of a masked man riding through the desert at night, speaking to shadows and strange fires flickering in uninhabited dunes. Merchants reported goods missing along trade routes, though no one could trace the thief. The city began to murmur with unease, and even Ali Baba felt the tension prick at the edges of his peace. Morgiana, alert to the growing danger, devised a plan. She would return to the edge of the desert under the cover of night, observing the dunes and listening to the whispers that the wind carried. Ali Baba, though hesitant, agreed to accompany her, bringing Nasir for protection. Under a crescent moon, the trio journeyed across the desert. The sand shifted beneath their feet, and the wind carried a symphony of faint voices. "Open, sesame, open, sesame." Morgiana froze. The words were unmistakable. The magic of the cave had stirred. Yet it was not the thieves' voices they heard. The desert itself seemed to call, urging caution and respect, warning that greed and folly could awaken death. They reached the foothills where the cave was hidden. Morgiana examined the stone carefully, noting its seals intact. Yet the footprints surrounding it were fresh. Someone had been there, testing the magic once again. Suddenly, shadows flitted across the dunes. Ali Baba raised his hand, signaling silence, as Farid and his band emerged, their daggers gleaming in the moonlight. "Ali Baba," Farid cried, "the legend ends tonight. Give us the treasure, and perhaps we spare your life." Ali Baba stepped forward, undaunted. "The treasure is not yours to claim," he said firmly. "The cave will remain sealed, as it should, and you, like all who came before, will learn that greed destroys itself." The desert roared with wind as Farid lunged. Morgiana moved like lightning, her dagger finding its mark as Nasir deflected attacks with precise skill. The thieves, overconfident, underestimated the combination of courage, wisdom, and unity before them. A battle ensued beneath the stars, one of sand, steel, and shadows. Each movement echoed the legacy of the 40, yet Ali Baba and his companions fought not for wealth, but for survival, for justice, and for the peace of Baghdad. By dawn, the desert lay still once more. Farid and his men were driven back, their plans shattered. The cave remained untouched, its secret safe under the watchful eyes of those who understood its true power. Ali Baba, breathing heavily, turned to Morgiana and Nasir. "The desert tests those who seek too much," he said. "It speaks to the wise and devours the foolish." Morgiana smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting both relief and determination. "Let us return to Baghdad, Master. The city waits, and we have work yet to do. The whispers of the sands will always remind us the treasure belongs to no one but those who respect it." And so they walked back, the rising sun casting long shadows across the dunes, a reminder that the past was ever present, but courage and wisdom would always prevail. Chapter the 8th. The merchants warning Baghdad's streets were alive with the calls of merchants, the braying of camels, and the rhythmic clang of the blacksmith's hammer. Yet beneath the city's vibrant life, whispers of unease began to stir. Travelers brought tales of missing caravans, of desert shadows moving with unnatural swiftness, and of caravans found abandoned with goods untouched but signs of careful inspection left behind. Ali Baba had returned to his olive grove after the confrontation in the Whispering Sands. Morgiana and Nasir worked alongside him, tending both land and household. The peace they had fought so dearly to preserve seemed real, yet Ali Baba's mind remained restless. He knew that fortune and danger were never far apart in the desert lands. One afternoon, a merchant arrived at Ali Baba's gate. He was tall and gaunt, his cloak worn and dusty from the roads. He bowed low before Ali Baba. "Master Ali Baba," he said, his voice trembling, "I come from the northern trade routes. Strange things are afoot. Merchants disappear without trace, and the wind carries murmurs of gold stolen from hidden places. I feared it might concern you, for your name is known far and wide." Ali Baba motioned for him to sit. Morgiana, ever watchful, stood behind the merchant, her eyes scanning the courtyard for any sign of deception. "Speak plainly," Ali Baba said. "What do you mean by strange things? Who is behind this?" The merchant shook his head. "I do not know, but there are whispers of a new band of thieves, cunning and patient. They seek secrets buried long ago, the tales of the cave of the 40 Thieves and those who survived. Some say they carry knowledge passed down from one who escaped the bloodshed years past." A shadow passed across Ali Baba's face. Though the cave had been secured, though he had taken only a small chest as a reminder, the lure of its treasure remained a danger to those who did not understand its lesson. He turned to Morgiana, who nodded with recognition. "Then we must act before these new shadows learn more," she said, her voice steady. "The desert is patient, but it will not wait forever." That evening, Ali Baba called together trusted friends and allies, merchants, guards, and informants who had aided him in years past. He explained the merchants' warning and laid out a plan to guard the city, its caravans, and the hidden knowledge of the cave. "We cannot fight them with gold," he said. "They will come seeking it, but they will not understand what it truly represents. Our strength lies in vigilance, wisdom, and unity." The following days saw Ali Baba and Morgiana traveling along trade routes, inspecting caravans, and ensuring that none of the hidden paths to the desert were left unmonitored. Every sand dune, every bend in the road was scrutinized. Nasir rode ahead with scouts, while Morgiana and Ali Baba moved among the caravans, speaking with merchants and guards alike, listening for the faintest whisper of danger. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ali Baba and Morgiana stopped at a well in the outskirts of the desert. The wind shifted, carrying a faint echo of voices. "Open, sesame! Open, sesame!" Morgiana's hand gripped Ali Baba's arm. "The cave," she whispered. "Someone has tested it again." Ali Baba felt the weight of years and wisdom pressing upon him. "We must ensure it remains untouched. The gold was never the treasure, only the lesson it holds." They returned to Baghdad under the cover of night, their horses silent upon the sand. Morgiana had devised a signal system with the caravan guards, lanterns, flags, and markers, so that no thief could approach unnoticed. Every road, every path leading to the desert was now watched, not by force of arms alone, but by intelligence and cunning. Word soon reached them that a band of strangers had indeed attempted to follow the trade routes, leaving signs behind, yet none could trace them to the cave. Ali Baba realized that their plan was working. Vigilance, patience, and wisdom had turned the desert itself into an ally. That night, as Baghdad slept beneath a blanket of stars, Ali Baba and Morgiana stood on the terrace of their home, watching the city. "The merchant was wise to warn us," Ali Baba said, "but it seems the desert whispers secrets to those who listen carefully." Morgiana nodded. "And we have learned to hear them, Master. The cave's lesson is clear. Knowledge is the true treasure, and those who guard it must be vigilant." Above, the stars shimmered like 1,000 eyes, and the desert beyond the city whispered, as if approving their wisdom and warning others of the price of greed. Chapter 9. The Shadow in Baghdad. The streets of Baghdad gleamed beneath the rising sun, golden with the dust of markets and the gleam of copper roofs. Yet, within the city, a subtle unease lingered. Though Ali Baba had fortified the trade routes and the desert remained vigilant under Morgiana's watchful eyes, an unseen danger now crept among the crowded alleys and lantern-lit courtyards, a shadow that moved without sound, carrying the knowledge of the past and the cunning of a predator. Ali Baba had always trusted his instincts, and now they stirred uneasily. For days, he had noticed subtle signs: a gate left slightly ajar, a familiar face lingering too long at the market, whispers of strangers who watched the city from rooftops and walls. His heart told him that the cave's secret, though hidden, had drawn attention anew. That evening, a messenger arrived from the north, bearing a small, sealed parchment. The wax was cracked and the ink smeared, but the words were clear: "Beware the shadow. He knows the past, yet walks unseen among you. Morgiana must not leave your side." Ali Baba's eyes narrowed. Morgiana, reading over his shoulder, spoke softly. "Master, the shadow knows the stories of the 40. Perhaps he is a survivor, one who has learned from those who came before." The thought sent a chill through the air. Could there truly be another, one more cunning than Kazim or Farid? As night fell, the city's lamps flickered and the alleys darkened under the moon. Morgiana prepared herself, ensuring that every hidden dagger and secret passage within Ali Baba's home was ready. Nasir took position at the front gate, while Ali Baba stationed guards around the perimeter. Then, from the shadows, a figure emerged, silent, cloaked, and hooded. No footsteps sounded on the cobblestones, yet Morgiana sensed the presence immediately. Her eyes followed the faint shimmer of the moonlight on steel hidden beneath the cloak. "Who goes there?" she whispered, gripping her dagger. No answer came. The figure moved like liquid, gliding past the city streets toward Ali Baba's home. Morgiana signaled to Nasir, who moved swiftly, blocking the street. The shadow stopped, tilting his head as if considering them, then vanished into the darkness, leaving only a faint scent of desert wind. The following nights brought more signs: subtle thefts of small items, messages carved in the backs of merchant stalls, and whispers carried by the wind. Morgiana deduced that the shadow was testing their defenses, probing for weaknesses, without revealing himself entirely. Ali Baba knew that confronting this unseen enemy required both courage and cunning. He and Morgiana devised a trap, a clever ruse using the home itself. They placed small chests filled with sand and hidden spikes throughout the courtyard, and lined the doors with mirrors and polished bronze plates to reflect any movement. When the shadow came again, drawn by the promise of the cave's secret, he moved through the courtyard as though alone. Yet the reflections betrayed him. Morgiana's sharp eyes detected the movement of his cloak and the faint shimmer of his blade. With a swift, silent motion, she released a net from the rooftop, ensnaring him before he could react. The shadow struggled, yet Morgiana remained calm, pressing a dagger to his throat. With a sigh, he removed his hood, revealing a young man with eyes haunted by the desert, eyes that mirrored both desperation and intelligence. "Why do you persist?" Morgiana demanded. "Why risk your life for a treasure that will only destroy you?" The young man bowed his head. "I am Omar, son of a traitor, who learned of the 40 Thieves long ago. I sought the cave not for gold, but to avenge my family, wronged by those who knew of its secret. I meant no harm to the innocent." Ali Baba studied him, weighing justice and mercy. Morgiana, ever wise, stepped forward. "Then prove your loyalty. Swear to abandon vengeance and to serve the city, not the treasure." Omar hesitated, then knelt. "I swear it," he said, voice trembling. "I will serve, not steal. I will learn from you, not seek the folly of my forebears." Thus, the shadow became an ally. Morgiana and Ali Baba recognized that even those drawn by greed could be guided to righteousness, if met with wisdom and opportunity. From that night, Omar assisted in guarding the city, learning the ways of vigilance, courage, and patience. The lesson was clear. Even shadows could be turned to light if guided by understanding rather than fear. And Baghdad, once again, slept safely under the watch of those who knew both the danger of greed and the power of wisdom. Chapter X: The Desert's Secret. The desert surrounding Baghdad stretched endlessly beneath the blazing sun, its dunes shifting like restless waves upon a golden sea. Though peace had returned to the city, whispers of the past haunted the wind. Ali Baba, Morgiana, and Nasir had grown vigilant, yet the desert seemed to hold one last secret, a test of courage, wisdom, and unity that awaited them beyond the horizon. One morning, as the trio rode toward a distant oasis, a traveler appeared, staggering through the sand. His robes were torn, his face scorched by the sun. He carried a small, sealed chest and collapsed at their feet. Morgiana knelt beside him, offering water and comfort. "Master," she said, "he has come from the dunes beyond the northern pass. His chest may hold news or danger." Ali Baba opened the chest cautiously. Inside lay a bundle of parchments, maps, and a small vial containing an unknown substance. The parchments detailed a hidden valley far to the east, its entrance obscured by shifting sands. Among the notes were warnings. The valley held remnants of the 40 Thieves' magic, protected by traps and illusions that only the wise could navigate. "The desert guards its secrets," Ali Baba murmured. "We must tread carefully, for folly will awaken its wrath." Morgiana studied the maps, her keen mind tracing the paths and noting patterns. "The clues point to a final trial," she said, "one that could endanger the city if we fail." As the sun dipped toward the horizon, the group set out. The desert wind rose, carrying the whisper of sand against stone. The dunes shifted like living creatures, creating pathways that appeared and vanished within moments. They followed the maps, relying on Morgiana's intuition and Nasir's steadfast guidance. By nightfall, they reached the entrance of the hidden valley. A natural arch of stone loomed overhead, engraved with ancient symbols, warnings of greed, deception, and folly. Ali Baba stepped forward, reciting the words he had learned long ago. "Open, Sesame." The stones remained still. Morgiana inspected the carvings, realizing that the cave demanded not the magic of speech, but the wisdom of intention. She placed her hand upon the stone and whispered, "We come not for gold, but to honor what must be preserved." Slowly, the arch parted, revealing a valley blanketed in shadow. The floor was scattered with relics of the 40 Thieves, chests, weapons, and faded silks, yet all were untouched, as if waiting for the worthy. The group advanced cautiously. Along the path, traps sprung false floors, swinging blades, and hidden pits. Yet Morgiana's insight and Ali Baba's calm judgment guided them safely. Nasir cleared obstacles and defended against illusions, the three of them working as one. At the valley's heart lay a chest, unlike the others. It glowed faintly under the moonlight, its carvings intricate and alive. Ali Baba approached and opened it. Inside were no coins or jewels, only a scroll inscribed in golden ink. "The true treasure is wisdom, courage, and loyalty. He who guards these shall protect the city and the legacy of the past." Morgiana smiled. The cave has given its final lesson. The gold was never the treasure, it was the trial itself. Ali Baba nodded, feeling the weight of years and experience settle upon him. "We have succeeded, not by greed, but by understanding. Let this secret remain, safe for those who follow in honesty and virtue." As dawn broke, the desert winds stilled, carrying a soft whisper through the valley. The worthy have passed, the treasure sleeps. The trio returned to Baghdad, the maps and scrolls safely hidden. The desert, once threatening and mysterious, now seemed to bow in respect, acknowledging the courage and wisdom of those who had faced its ultimate secret. Chapter 11. The test of the final guardian. The desert beyond Baghdad had always held secrets, but the final guardian of the cave was unlike any threat Ali Baba, Morgiana, or Nasir had faced. News of a figure cloaked in shadows reached them through travelers and traders, a being who could read intentions, see through deception, and challenge even the wisest of hearts. Ali Baba, Morgiana, and Nasir prepared themselves at dawn. They had journeyed many leagues into the shifting sands, following the hidden paths that the maps and scrolls of Chapter 10 had revealed. Each step brought a sense of foreboding, for the desert seemed to sense their approach and whispered through the dunes like a warning. "We are near," Morgiana said, her eyes scanning the horizon. "The signs point to the valley's heart. The guardian waits." Its eyes gleamed like molten gold, reflecting both the sands and the souls who had approached. "Who comes before the final guardian?" the being asked, its voice both soft and commanding, echoing across the dunes. Ali Baba stepped forward. "We are travelers who respect the past, protect the city, and honor the lessons of the 40 Thieves." The guardian's gaze swept over them, testing not just their words, but the truth behind them. Shadows danced around the figure, creating illusions, chests filled with gold, traps that sprang from the sands, and the echoes of the 40 Thieves themselves. "To pass," the guardian intoned, "you must answer 3 trials, each testing mind, heart, and courage. Fail, and the desert will claim you." The first trial was of the mind. The guardian conjured a labyrinth of illusions, paths shifting endlessly, mirages of treasure, and whispers designed to confuse. Ali Baba's experience guided them. He focused not on the treasures, but on the patterns in the sands, deciphering the logic that allowed them to navigate through safely. Next came the trial of the heart. Morgiana was presented with visions of greed, betrayal, and temptation. She saw herself succumbing to riches, leaving Ali, Baba, and Nasir to their fates. Her resolve was tested, but she remembered the lessons of the cave. Loyalty and wisdom triumph over desire. With a firm step, she chose the path of integrity, breaking the illusions that sought to sway her. Finally, the trial of courage confronted Nasir. Specters of the past emerged, shadows of fallen thieves, menacing and swift, surrounding him in a circle of fear. He faced each apparition without flinching, understanding that courage was not the absence of fear, but action in its presence. His steadfastness dissipated the specters, proving his worth. The guardian stepped back, a faint smile breaking across its face. You have passed. Mind, heart, and courage, united, shall always prevail. The cave and its secret are safe with you. Ali Baba bowed respectfully. We seek only to preserve, not to claim. May the desert continue to guard this treasure from those unworthy. The guardian's form shimmered and dissolved into the sands, leaving behind a chest of simple stone. Within it lay a scroll, confirming what they already knew. Those who are united in purpose, guided by wisdom and virtue, shall always protect the legacy of the past. As the sun set, painting the desert with gold and crimson, Ali Baba, Morgiana, and Nasir made their way back to Baghdad. The trials had tested them, but in unity they had triumphed. The final guardian's lesson was clear. True treasure is never gold, but the courage, wisdom, and loyalty that bind friends, family, and city together. The city lights of Baghdad shimmered in the distance, welcoming them home. The legacy of the 40 Thieves, once a tale of greed and danger, had become a story of guardianship, trust, and honor. Chapter the 12th. The legacy secured Baghdad basked in the golden light of dawn, its minarets and domes catching the sun like molten amber. After countless trials, desert whispers, and confrontations with those who sought the cave's treasure, peace had returned. Ali, Baba, Morgiana, and Nasir stood together on the terrace of their home, gazing across the bustling city they had vowed to protect. We have done well, Ali Baba said, voice calm but firm. The cave's secret remains hidden, and the lessons of the past are safeguarded. Morgiana smiled, the morning breeze teasing her dark hair. It is not only the cave we have preserved, Master. It is the spirit of our city, its people, its traders, its families. Baghdad is alive because we have acted wisely. Nasir nodded, his eyes reflecting both vigilance and contentment. And the shadow, the merchant warnings, the guardian of the desert, all have taught us that courage, unity, and wisdom are worth more than any gold. That afternoon, Ali Baba called together the city elders and merchants, gathering them in the main courtyard. He recounted the trials they had faced, the whispering sands, the band of thieves led by Farid, the shadow in Baghdad, and the final guardian of the desert. Yet he did not speak of the treasure itself, only the lessons it represented. Gold tempts men to folly, Ali Baba said, but courage, wisdom, and loyalty guide us to honor. Let these be the true wealth we leave to Baghdad. Morgiana, standing beside him, added, and let the stories of our trials inspire those who come after. Let them know that even the smallest act of vigilance, the cleverest use of knowledge, and the bravest act of heart can preserve a city, a family, and a legacy. The citizens listened in awe. Ali Baba's words resonated like a prayer woven into the very fabric of the city. Traders pledged vigilance on the trade routes. Families promised to teach honesty and courage to their children. Baghdad itself seemed to breathe with renewed hope, as if the city recognized that it had been protected not by gold, but by human resolve. That evening, under a crescent moon, Ali Baba and Morgiana returned to the outskirts of the desert. There, the entrance to the cave lay quiet, hidden beneath the sands. Ali Baba knelt, touching the stone. "You have served your purpose," he whispered. "The world will remember, not the gold, but the wisdom you have offered to those who were worthy." Morgiana placed a hand upon his shoulder. "It will remain safe, Master. And we have learned the true treasure, that which can never be stolen, only understood." As they returned to Baghdad, Nasir rode at their side, the wind carrying the scent of jasmine and the distant desert. The city's lanterns flickered to life, illuminating streets filled with children playing, merchants trading, and families rejoicing in the simple blessings of life. In the following months, the legend of Ali Baba, Morgiana, and the 40 Thieves became a story of guidance rather than greed. The cave remained untouched, its magic preserved, its lesson passed through whispers and tales. Scholars wrote of it, storytellers recited it, and every generation learned that the power of wisdom, courage, and loyalty could protect more than gold ever could. And so, the legacy was secured. Ali Baba lived out his days, tending his groves and guiding those who sought truth. Morgiana became a symbol of courage and intelligence, honored by the people and revered by those who knew her story. Nasir remained steadfast, guarding the city and its trade routes, a living testament to bravery tempered by honor. In the quiet of the night, when the stars glimmered above and the desert wind hummed softly, Ali Baba would sometimes think he heard the faint echo of the cave whispering through the sands. "The worthy have passed. The treasure sleeps, but the lesson endures forever." Baghdad thrived, not on wealth alone, but on the enduring wisdom of those who had once faced the shadows of greed and emerged victorious. And in the hearts of all who knew the tale, the true treasure of the 40 Thieves remained a story of courage, intelligence, and loyalty, shining brighter than any gold could ever gleam. Series Conclusion Summary: Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves ends with the cave's secret preserved, Baghdad thriving, and the lessons of courage, wisdom, and loyalty passed to future generations. Ali Baba, Morgiana, and Nasir secure their legacy, proving that true treasure lies not in gold, but in virtue, unity, and understanding.